Hey, I am back, and so much has happened since my last podcast episode. So let me tell you all about it. Are you ready? All right. I was working on and finally published my first book, The Empowered Expat Woman, Your A to Z Guide to Thriving Wherever You Are. Here it is, holding it into the camera if you're watching this on YouTube. This is my book, baby. Welcome, welcome. It was published on April 10th, so it's birthday, so to speak. And this month of April, I was just reflecting on it, has been so full of celebrating this milestone. So I had a virtual book launch party on the 10th, where we celebrated and we had some fun activities, and I presented a book to you. Then I had an in-person event the week afterwards here in Bilbao, which was also such a lovely experience. I presented the book, I did a reading, and there were so many women gathered around me and just celebrating this really special moment with me, also with delicious Spanish tapas and wine. A little too much of that, actually, now that I remember. And then I could not believe it, but the book actually hit number one bestseller on Amazon in two categories. And it was number two in two other categories. Wow, this was such a proud and humbling moment at the same time. I really could not believe it. And I still can't, I guess. I'm just so very grateful for all the positive feedback and the support that I've received. If you already picked up the book, thank you so much. If you haven't, please do. I will leave the link in the comment section or in the session notes. Oh my God, I need to remember, like, well, how do you do that in a podcast? Because I've been away for so long. I will leave the link for you to find very easily, so you can go check it out. It's available on Amazon, but it's also available on a whole bunch of other platforms, Barnes& and Nobles, Ingram Sparks, Apple Books, and you name it. So go check it out. And I thought today I wanted to tell you a little bit about the book, about how it came to be, and also do some random reads so that you can get a feeling of what this book is like. Because this is not actually a book. I see this as a self-empowerment guide. Now, the difference is that a book is something that you read from the beginning to the end, and you're taking in information, right? So it's like the author conveying information to you. Um, and here, the difference is, well, first of all, it has this A to Z structure, right? So you don't need to read it from the beginning to the end. I love that about the book because I feel like we already have so many things dictating our lives and how we should do things and what we should do and in what manner, especially as expats. I mean, just think about paperwork and, immigration forms and relocation stuff. We need to follow so many rules and guidelines already. So this is really supposed to be a book for you on your terms. You know, what it is that you need in any given moment, you can just open up the chapter directory. Let me find it. Okay. And you could say, well, for instance, I'm feeling a little lonely these days, right? So you could go to chapter L, loneliness, or you might want to go to chapter N, which is networking and socializing abroad. Maybe you're thinking, well, I'm not feeling very fulfilled. I don't really know where I'm headed here in this life abroad. Then maybe you want to check out chapter C, which is clarify your goals, or chapter V, which is vision. Maybe you have an issue with your family, right? So you could go to chapter T, which is third culture kids, or chapter D, which is dating, love, and marriage across borders. There are chapters on pretty much anything. So you will find very practical tips, tools, insights, guidance in each of them. And and you're able to choose what it is that you need in any given moment. And I find that this is the first step of empowerment that I wanted to transmit and that I wanted to really integrate into the very fiber of the book, that you get to choose what it is you need and when, right? And the second thing that is different about this book is that it's quite slender, let me say. Each chapter is just, a few pages long, 4, 5, 6, I don't know. So it's very compact, and it's really meant to, because something I notice when I read thick books, and I love them. Well, I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, which, by the way, is the next thing I'm working on. But I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, and they can get pretty scientific, which is amazing. You learn a lot. Well, the question is, do you actually retain it? Could you then tell it to someone else? In my case, that's not always right possible then. And what I notice with myself when I'm just taking in, all this information through a book, is that I'm in listening and learning mode. I'm not in applying and acting on it mode. It's kind of like a different mindset, right? Because taking in a lot of information can also be quite overwhelming. So your brain, I think it needs to focus on something. It needs to focus on understanding or retaining, or otherwise it could focus on acting on it. And that's what I wanted to achieve in the book. And I hope that you will find that I've achieved that. So every chapter gives you lots of valuable insights and practical tips and offers different advice or solutions to you that you can then take and apply to your own situation. And it usually ends with a few questions. There's also a bonus resource that you can download free of charge, which is a fillable workbook. So you can continue to do these exercises. And the book is really supposed to get you going and get you acting on it so that you will notice a difference between the before and the after of reading it, right? And maybe one more thing I would like to say about this book, and then I go on to the random reads, is that what was so important to me was to really pick readers up where they're at that moment in their life, right? At the moment of reading this. So, some might be enjoying the highs and the adventures of expat lives, and others might be at rock bottom. There is actually a chapter in this book that's called Rock Bottom Abroad. And others are just anywhere in between and on this very broad and colorful and complex spectrum of a life across borders with everything it entails. So I sincerely hope that when you read it, you will find that it tries to meet you where you're at, without maybe knowing everyone personally, and then just offering you different ways to make more or the most of the situation you currently find yourself in. It's not, dictating you to do things this or that way. It guides you to find your own truth, your own path, and therefore also empowers you. It gives you power through that. So I really cannot wait to hear what you all think of the book. And yeah, and I thought, I will tell you the story of how it came to be through random readings of the book, because there are some clues about it. And like I said at my virtual book launch event, I said, there's no one that could have written this book like I did. And the reason is that nobody's had the life that I've had. Nobody's grown up the way I did, and nobody's had the experiences I've made. And nobody has the same personality that I do, and so forth. And that is so important to stress, because I know that there are things that you would love to do and achieve and see, brought to life. And they might be big things, they might be big dreams, and they might feel overwhelming. And maybe you're even scared to say it out loud because it sounds so out there, or you think that others wouldn't understand. We can come up with so many reasons for why we should not go ahead and do, let me just call it, any big heart project that we have in our heads, and we've had the idea. But really, the reason why you should do it is because only you can do it in the way that you will. Only you are able to do this in your very way. And if you've had the idea and you have the passion behind the idea, there's a reason for it. So hold on to that idea, treasure that idea. It came to you on purpose. So make something out of it. Don't waste time, questioning and second guessing yourself. Just do it. The more we think about something, sometimes the less will actually get done. So sometimes it's good to just go ahead and do it. So let me tell you a little bit about how this book came to be. And I will read this to you from my book. A culmination of experience. All of the ideas and insights presented in this book aren't just theories. They were inspired by the countless lived experiences both of myself and of my clients. Reflecting on 2 decades of expat living and years of coaching fellow expats has served as a wellspring of inspiration. I've poured so much passion and dedication into creating profound and original content for the Empowered Expat Woman podcast, my blog, my keynote speeches, and workshops. This book consolidates and assembles the ideas and wisdom gathered over the years. Think of this book as your coach, companion, and confidant, guiding you every step of the way in your expat journey. The best thing about it? There's no need to follow a straight line. You can easily jump back and forth between chapters, picking the ones that best match your current situation. So whether you're delving into the ABZs or flipping through the XYZs, each chapter stands on its own, ready to offer valuable insights. Just as the book title suggests, its structure is designed to empower you to navigate your own adventure. So let me read a page of, or 2 pages of chapter C, Clarify Your Goals, to you, that features the notion of the heart project, but also different ways of setting and getting goals. And this also goes to show that I'm such a big advocate at not, presenting the way to you, but of helping you find your way. And you will see this in the text that I'm about to read to you. So I'm skipping a few pages of this chapter and just dive into the art of goal getting. Now that we've uncovered the magic of having a clear vision for your international life, let's talk strategy. As a coach, I know how important it is to help my clients formulate clear goals, break them down into action steps, as well as to encourage and hold them accountable. Here are 4 strategies I like to employ, tailored to suit different personalities and circumstances. Daily baby steps. Inspired by James Clear's book Atomic Habits, this approach focuses on making small, consistent changes over time. By aiming for just a 1% improvement each day, you can see remarkable progress over the course of a year. Making very small changes over time might not sound or feel very exciting at first, but don't be fooled. You're building a habit that will stay with you, plus you'll reap the benefits of the compound effect, which is the sum of choices, behavior, habits, and time. This approach will work for anyone, but if you're someone who's already got a lot on your plate and feels overwhelmed as it is, this might be your go-to strategy. Next up is the Heart Project. This is the one I used when writing this book. This approach is more intuitive, allowing you to pursue a big goal with excitement and passion. When you're deeply inspired by an idea, you'll naturally find ways to progress towards it without needing a strict framework. It's about entering a state of flow where you're so deeply engaged, productive, and wholeheartedly dedicated to the project. Your heart project is usually carried out within a specific time frame, with a clear beginning and end. Due to its immersive and creative nature, it's best not to drag it out for too long as you might burn yourself out. The 3-year plan. This concept has been a game changer for many expat women I've had the privilege to work with. In today's fast-paced world, there's often an urgency to accomplish everything immediately. But this mindset can also lead to burnout and rob us of the joy of the journey. I say New Year's resolutions are overrated. Instead, consider the luxury, freedom, and inspiration of crafting a 3-year plan for yourself. This approach leaves room and flexibility for pregnancies, relocations, or other life events, which is particularly relevant for expat women. On the other hand, it encourages you to think bigger, allowing you to set more ambitious and meaningful goals for yourself over a longer period of time. Setting weekly or monthly goals. Ideal for those who thrive on structure and organization, this strategy involves breaking down larger objectives into smaller, achievable tasks on a weekly or monthly basis. By setting clear priorities and deadlines, you can maintain momentum and track their progress effectively. Whether it's outlining specific actions for each day or broader objectives for the month, this approach ensures accountability and can be a great roadmap for success. And by the way, in the free workbook that I mentioned that comes with this book, there is an exercise where you can dive deeper into these different ways of setting and getting goals that will work better or less well at different times in your lives and in different for different types of projects. So it's up to you to figure this out. But either way, any strategy you choose will ensure that you'll get from A to B. All right, another thing that I did with this book, when writing the book, is that if you remember last year, I started writing and I set a very ambitious deadline for myself, which was writing the book in a month. Now, I will read about it in a second, right? The reason I did that, first of all, I had the idea, and I'm a pretty quick starter, quick decision maker. And because I know how many people, first of all, would like to write a book but never do, and how many people start writing a book and never finish, and how many people sort of finish writing their book but then never publish it. You can look at statistics of that in Google. There are different ones, but it's shocking. It's actually quite saddening because, this project is it's created in thought or in word, and it's not out there. So it's incomplete, and it kind of leaves that sense of I haven't completed it. I haven't been able to finish this within you. So I think, and this is my advice, it's a good strategy to make quick decisions. In my case, I was lucky because due to all of my previous podcast episodes that as you as listener know, I've always treated like a mini masterclass. It's very content dense. I'm always, busy, and I always like at a lack of time as a mom of 3 and running my own business on my own, basically, pretty much. So I just don't like to have the feeling that I'm wasting my really, really precious time. And so I always avoid, rambling and all of that. So anyway, not to ramble, but I wanted to say that I was lucky because I had most of the content. I completely underestimated how much work it is to actually put that into written language and language suitable for a book, which is completely different than me, talking to you now. But anyway, that's a different story. So the thing is, I had the idea of compiling the content of the podcast into a book. I quickly had the idea of the A to Z guide. I loved it. I just stuck to it. I never again questioned it. I only questioned like a little bit of the letters, but I pretty much just moved forward. And because of my tight deadline of writing the book within a month, I got so far within a month. I had about 80% of the book written, not revised and edited, but written, right? And I think that is an amazing achievement. Then stuff came in between, and it took me a lot longer. And I will say that I completely underestimated how much work it is to revise the first draft of what you've written. And you will read it over and over again. And every time you read it, you will find something else. That's just the way it is. But yes, but I think setting a deadline for writing a book, if that's what you want, or also something else, that hard project that you might have in mind, setting an ambitious deadline is a good strategy. Let me read another few chapters, another few pages of the chapter X. Triple X your life abroad. And I hope to be able to convince you. There's a powerful quote by Marianne Williamson that resonates deeply. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous?" Throughout history, women have been conditioned to prioritize others' needs, be humble, settle for what they had. Society often discouraged them from pursuing ambitious goals, labeling those as selfish or unattainable. Even today, being bold, assertive, and confident can expose women to criticism or worse. But here's a radical thought. What if everything you desire and dream about isn't audacious at all, but merely a fraction of what you're destined to experience? What if those goals you thought were too much to ask for are actually too small and you're meant for even more? I got this idea from self-made billionaire Grant Cardone, and the minute I read about it in his book, The 10X Rule, I was convinced and inspired. Here's the thing. Setting big goals is incredibly motivating. It pushes you to think outside the box, find new and innovative approaches, and consequently become much more efficient. Plus, even if you fall short of accomplishing the big goal, just talked about that, you'll still likely make much more progress overall than you would have if you had chased a smaller, less exciting one. When you settle for uninspiring, safe goals that don't demand pushing your limits, you actually risk achieving the opposite effect. The resulting underwhelm, even if subtle, can lead to procrastination, self-doubt, or analysis paralysis. As a consequence, your motivation, drive, and self-trust may fade, making it increasingly difficult to see your project through. Also, falling short of a small goal feels more disheartening than not quite reaching a big one. So, embrace the audacity of your dreams, set larger goals, and believe in your ability and worthiness to reach them. Now I'm skipping a few pages again and head over to the last page of this chapter, which is 7 steps to triple X your life abroad. Pay attention, guys. Number 1, visualize something big you'd really like to achieve or see happen in your life, even though it may seem scary, unrealistic, or out there. Step number 2, write your big goal down and be specific. Number 3, give yourself a short deadline. It should be doable, but still tight. This will allow you to start with a bang, gain momentum, create some urgency around your goal, and proactively think about how you could finish it in the most efficient way possible. Step number 4, mark your calendar. Set aside uninterrupted time during which you'll work on your goal. If you can do it alone, schedule meetings with the other involved parties beforehand. Number 5, exploit resources. Could you carve out some more time to work on your big goal? Could you improve the quality of your sleep in order to be more productive and fresh throughout the day? What will you need to delegate or say no to? Who could help you? Who could you collaborate with? Step number 6, write down your progress in a journal. Every night before going to bed, take notes of what you've done to achieve your big goal. what's gone well, and what do you want to improve next time. And step number 7, plan out your next day. Have an agenda of things you will do tomorrow so that you can start your day with intention. And now I have a bonus step that I added afterwards when I saw that, I did not actually finish my book in 1 month's time. Bonus step, self-care and surrendering. Things can come up unexpectedly, and you might need to press pause on your ambitious endeavor. That's normal, so don't resist it. Plan for it and work with it. Trust me, I know. When I was writing this book, I applied this exact strategy. My initial plan was to finish writing the book in 1 month's time. By the time my deadline came around, the manuscript was about 90% finished. But then, due to some personal and family issues, I completely fell off track. It took months to get back into writing and editing, and I took it slow. This experience taught me the following. Number 1, the above strategy is extremely powerful. After all, I got extremely close to finishing writing a book in only 30 days. And let me tell you guys, had I not gotten this far, after I fell off track, who knows if I would have actually picked it up, if there was like more than half to go still, you know what I mean? I was so close that picking it back up again was just a matter of time. Then I also learned, number 2, that things can come up and distract us from our goals. If we can't change it, we must accept it. Have lots of self-compassion, patience, and trust in ourselves to carry on. And number 3, once you fall off track and lose momentum, it's really hard to pick up the pace again. It might help to take some time off and then reapply the triple X strategy. Self-care should become part of your lifestyle and nourishing yourself a priority. Sometimes this will indeed look like slowing down and resting. Other times, this means putting your phone away, shutting the door, and ambitiously working on making your wildest dreams come true. And now let me just finish this episode with a personal share, which is that writing this book has actually been a bit of a lonely experience. So not only was I obviously writing the book alone, it was my own project. There was nobody, that was a part of it, which is, well, I guess it's the norm, right? For any author or almost any author. But also I did feel that I didn't have so much support, and that people close to me couldn't really understand or grasp what I was doing and what I was doing for so long. And I guess I would have wished sometimes for a little more interest by certain people, or being able to share this maybe with someone who was doing something similar or going through something similar. And that's why I would like to finish this episodes with a last reading of my chapter Helping Hands, chapter H, because it is really so important to ask for help, to ask for support, and to also be that helpful and supportive person to others. By now, I have a network of colleagues of mine that I meet at different like coach certifications or mastermind groups, or there's always some kind of container where I meet them, and I always get close to a few and keep in touch with them. And it's lovely because I have very close colleagues of mine that I talk with, definitely on a weekly basis, if not sometimes even on a daily, that I can share so much with. And I've met them in different parts of the world, even in different surroundings. But still, it does make me treasure this, having the support system, having the support network. And to go back to maybe that heart project that you have on your mind, if you think about who can help you, whether it's practical help by getting this done, or it's just emotional support by asking you about it. Hey, how's it going? Do you want to tell me about what you've been working on so diligently? I mean, this occupies so much of your mind. And when you're really immersed in this, and it's such a it's such an absorbing experience that it's really, really nice when you have someone to just be able to tell this to. Also, maybe then they can help you and connect you with someone that you can collaborate with or who can help you further or something. So look for those people that can support you and you support them. And I will finish now with just a few reasons why asking for help, especially as expat women, is so powerful. Again, I'm skipping the first pages and dive into asking for help reduces stress and improves your well being. I know that if you struggle to accept help, it's usually because you care deeply, feel responsible, and want to ensure everything works out perfectly. There might even be a part of you that seeks validation and wants to prove your worth by taking care of everything and everyone. But trying to do it all takes away the luxury of being fully present and dedicating quality time to what truly matters. It also reduces the joy and ease with which you approach tasks, and I believe that's a price we shouldn't pay. Remember, if your good intentions are leaving you exhausted, stressed, and resentful, it's time to reconsider and find better ones. Another reason why asking for help is powerful or, advisable is that it allows you to focus on your zone of genius. We all possess different skills and talents, and there's so much satisfaction in doing what we're particularly good at. It makes us feel useful, significant, and like we're making a positive impact and difference. Chances are you already know your areas of expertise, but just in case you're not fully aware, take a moment to think about what comes effortlessly to you. You know, those things that you do so naturally that they don't even feel like special skills. Spoiler alert, they probably are. What do others notice and praise you for? Where do they come to you for help? What activities bring you so much joy that you completely lose track of time? Again, this could lead to your heart project. If you're a multi-passionate person with many different interests, it may seem like you don't have a clear zone of genius. But in reality, you have several different ones and just need to find a common link to tie them together in some way. The bottom line is that the more time you have for the things you're good at and that ignite your passion, the better you'll feel and the more you'll be able to contribute to this world. Keep this in mind the next time you hesitate to delegate or ask for help. It's not that you're incapable or unwilling to do certain things. It's about learning to prioritize what's most important. And the last of the 5 reasons in total I mentioned is by asking for help, you can foster meaningful connections. Asking for or offering help is a magical ingredient in building meaningful connections. It creates a sense of closeness, intimacy, and reciprocity. Oh my God, I always have problems pronouncing that word. Reciprocity. That is difficult to achieve otherwise. Expat life can feel lonely and isolated at times, but by joining forces and helping each other out, you can feel significant and connected. Embracing the power of seeking and accepting help not only lightens our load, it also enriches our lives with valuable connections, newfound opportunities, and a deeper sense of belonging in our community. So let's lean on each other, share our strength, and ease the challenges of expat life for one another. I hope you enjoyed these readings and just learning a little bit about the Empowered Expat Woman, your A to Z guide to thriving wherever you are. And now I would love to leave you with the following question and the following prompt. Is there a big heart project that you've been thinking about or that you hardly dare to think about, but that would feel so exciting to get it done? This could be anything, right? But something that you know only you can do in the way that you would and in the way that you will. If you have such a thing, please send me an email or a DM on any social media. I think by now I'm like on all social media platforms. And let me know what that is so that I can cheer you on. I can hold you a little bit accountable, maybe even. And just make sure that you'll get a step closer to achieving that big, exciting goal. And I cannot wait to see it. And again, just to remind you, I will leave the link to my book in the session notes and in the notes that you'll see, right? And I look forward to speaking with you all soon again. Bye.